It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the City of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Welcome to this edition of City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM. I'm Stu O'Brien, and City Manager Gary Ceppetelli is here this week to answer your questions about things happening here in the city. Gary, if you could maybe just give us a recap of some of the things that have happened in the past week.
Sure. Thanks, Sue. And first of all, it's a pleasure to be here to fill in for the mayor that's out of town at this point and sort of go over some of the things that we as a city have been undertaking in the last week or so. So obviously we've started our Winterfest celebrations, which run for the month of February, and we've had the initial weekend event that's happening on that, and we'll continue with that. From a snow perspective, obviously that the amount of snow that we've had this year and has posed a bit of a challenge in clearing and removing some of the snow, so that we're actively looking at removing some of the problem areas, concentrating on some of the intersections, so that we provide those safety aspects from a visual perspective for the traveling public.
Okay, we could probably make snow clearing an Olympic event, and we could show those guys in Sochi something, I bet. Okay, so Gary, we've got Canada Post going ahead with cuts to home delivery. At least that's how it stands at this point. How is that going to affect your residents here in Thompson and in the north? What can you see that affecting the city, for example?
Well, I think from the city perspective, we'd have to sort of take a look at, obviously, what the intent to do over the next, I believe it's a 5-year period, as when they're going to institute or stop some of the home delivery, and what all the specifics of that mean. But I think from a city perspective, we'd have to take a look at how do we get our messages out from a communication standpoint, and from a bill perspective as to, do we have to, as a city, sort of institute other measures that will accommodate that. And I think that one of the areas that we would have to take a look at is that, do we go to an e-billing system if we are come to the situation where obviously it's posing issues from us from getting those bills out, or the tax bills, the water bills, whatever they may be, or just normal communications to city residents.
Okay. And also, I guess you'd have to look about, trying to determine locations, with Canada Post, where those new community boxes would go.
Right. And right now we do that on new subdivisions for the most part, which has been happening for quite some time, really, with the super mailboxes. So as part of the subdivision process, the municipality would be involved in sort of citing as to where they go, so that there's an appropriate room for drop off and pick up of mail by individuals. So in established areas, I think that we would have to sit down with Canada Post to determine as to where they see some of these super mailboxes going, or the avenue that they want to address the situation. So we would have those discussions at that point.
Yeah, because I can actually see there being some difficulties. For example, the area I'm living in, Deerwood, there's often some streets where there are no sidewalks. You would have to maybe try to find the busier street, and then what's that going to do when you have maybe 25 people after work at the end of the day trying to go get their mail, and they're lined up along the street? So obviously there would be some safety issues. So
no, absolutely. And so those would be some of our concerns, as well, as to ensure that the siting of these super mailboxes are in a location that really don't pose those issues. And if there are issues, we as a city would try to mitigate them as much as possible, so that this delivery of service is the most effective and efficient.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we'll be lucky and they'll leave us to the last, and we'll still have home delivery for the next 4 or 5 years. That'd be great. Are the Damp House renovations complete?
My understanding is, actually, I was in at the last meeting of Project Northern Doorway a few weeks ago, and at that time the renovations were on schedule, and really were supposed to have been completed by early February. So whether they've been finalized, I'm not sure, but they were well on schedule from that aspect, so they could be completed at this time.
Well, everybody knows they're our next door neighbor, and I just haven't seen anybody new there in the last few days, so I'm thinking that they've maybe wrapped things up. I just wanted to ask, how much success is Project Northern Doorway having in recruiting workers for the facility?
I think, I mean, obviously, is the project Northern Doorway is really sort of in two components, where you have the Thompson Housing Agency, which really is the body that owns the facility, and Canadian Mental Health is the organization that will be running the day-to-day operations of the facility, and through Canadian Mental Health, I mean, obviously they've got their job postings out in regards to attracting workers or potential workers to operate the facility. I know that they've have some challenges in regards to getting some of the applicants back, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure as to what the specifics are, and as if they have received any other further applications at this time.
Okay, because I was just wondering if it maybe had been considered to, in order to try to get the operation going as quickly as possible, considering we're in the heart of probably one of the coldest winters I've ever endured here in Thompson, in my 20 years, that, to try to get the doors open for these individuals. I was wondering if maybe some of the agencies who were supporting it would be able to get some of their staff in to cover things until, a completely...
I think from the board that's in place. I mean, obviously, if as they go through their application process at this point, and if they're unsuccessful of attracting anybody to run the facility, I think that the board or steering committee that's in place, I mean, obviously would have to sort of sit down and really evaluate sort of as to what those next steps are, and it may be an interim aspect to that effect in order to sort of get the program up and running. So I don't think they've hit that point yet, but they're obviously that's something that they would have to consider down the road if they're unsuccessful in getting anybody to fill the program.
Okay, all right. And the city is currently offering free bus rides from 8:15 to 9:15 weekdays. What was the inspiration behind that?
Actually, we were approached by the school district of Mystery Lake in regards to some of the attendance issues that they were having at. And initially, it was at Artie Parker Collegiate, and really sort of sat down with them to sort of see what we can do in that regard. So we've worked out a deal where. Really, through the city, is that there'd be free bus rides for that first hour in the morning. Primarily, it was for the high school, but the school district has since come back and really extended it really to all schools. So, and I think that it really for the cold months and really trying to encourage the attendance set from the elementary to the high school.
That's great, because I've noticed some mornings when I'm driving to work and I see some of these kids trucking along, I'm thinking, I don't know, if it was minus 50 and I had to hike myself all the way to school, I might stay home too. But anyway, are they noticing an increased ridership? I
haven't talked to the school at this point, but I think it really is that the intent is that, and so hopefully that it as a pilot project works well, and it's something that hopefully with discussions as we continue with the school district, it's something that maybe can continue on in years to come.
I think it's a great idea, frankly. That was a good one. Gary, maybe I'll give you a chance to wrap up by taking a look at some of the events we have coming up here in the month of February in the city.
Sure, and as mentioned at the start, I mean, really is that February is our Winterfest month, and we've sort of gone to that different format over the last couple of years, as where in the past we had it on one weekend, and really the intent was to try to have it in every weekend in February to get people of Thompson out for different venues and different events throughout the month, and really sort of celebrate what we have in this community in regards to events that do take place, because as you mentioned, I mean, we do have a long, cold winter, and I mean, here's an attempt to have people get out and enjoy the festivities that we have planned on a weekend basis and for the rest of the month, and to get people out there and really start socializing and take into account some of the activities that are taking place. So this weekend really is that what's on at the Leckman Theatre is the Bubble Man. And Thompson Tumblers are also having a family dance at the Legion Hall on February 8th as well. And really coming up in next weekend on the long weekend is really one of the major tournaments, hockey tournaments in this community that has been ongoing for quite some time is the Mun Cup, the annual Mun Cup. So that's brings in a lot of participants into this community and a lot of spectators and parents and whatnot. So it will be a bustling time again as it comes on, and we continue on for the remainder of the winter, and hopefully it's a short one.
Yeah, that's right. Hope that groundhog, I don't know if he cursed us or not. Well, I'd like to thank you, Gary, for coming in today and being on City Beats and filling in the listeners about what's happening here in the city. And I encourage them to listen back again next week when we return with, maybe the mayor will be here and maybe not, but we'll still have some information for City Beats here on 102.9 CHTM. I'm Sue O'Brien.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning at 11:30.